Hey, you, what's going on? Quick announcement for you. So we got a really cool boot camp coming up February 7th through the 11th, and it's going to be dedicated for helping entrepreneurs build their first six-figure business. Or if you have a six-figure business, helping you to get to multiple six-figure businesses. I think one of the most plaguing things in this generation and in our time right now is we've got tons of entrepreneurs that have great ideas, great products, great organizations, but they aren't making money with those organizations. And so we're getting 100 plus entrepreneurs together to help you cultivate what it is, what we call a six-figure mindset, and really putting together the six-figure blueprint, giving you the tools necessary to help you build your first six-figure business. So if you'd like to learn more information or if you'd like to register, the great thing about this is it's totally free. There's absolutely no cost associated with it. All you have to do is visit www.6figbootcamp.com, sixfigbootcamp.com, and you can see all the details about it. You can get logged in, you can get connected, and there is even a VIP option that has some free coaching and some giveaways, et cetera, associated with it. So look forward to seeing you February 7th, and let's get into the podcast. What is going on, my beautiful people? Welcome to yet again another episode of the Pivot Mindset Podcast. If you're listening to this podcast, you know that we believe that life is all about the pivots, and those who decide to make the pivots decide to become successful. We know here that life is about making the constant micro adjustments. It's about making the pivots in order to be successful. And so we've built a community around making pivots. We've started to build a pretty nice following. We're starting to get people connected to the message, and what we're trying to create here is a boldness around making changes. You know, it shouldn't be shameful to make the changes that life requires us to make. You should actually do it with pride, because I believe anytime you're going to make a life change or making a shift, it's an opportunity for you to grow. It's an opportunity for you to get better. So we are removing the shame out of changing. We're removing the shame out of making pivots, or to determine that something isn't working and to start doing something that will begin to work for you. So thank you for listening. As always, appreciate your support, your loyalty, and let's dive right in. So I want to talk about today why multiple streams of income do not work and why multitasking don't work. And I believe both of these things are very connected with one another because multiple streams of income, and that's a term that's thrown around quite a bit these days, especially in the entrepreneurial world. And multitasking is, I believe, getting more debunked as time goes on, and people realize that we don't really have the ability as humans to multitask well. And so I believe there's a lot of topics and a lot of books and articles and information coming out nowadays around multitasking. But for this episode, I want to dive a little bit deeper into why both of those do not work. But before we do that, I'd love to have you listen to a wonderful announcement by one of my good friends. This episode is sponsored by Andy and Kelsey Wozniak from eXp Realty. Andy and Kelsey are your trusted go-to Northeast Ohio agents for all of your real estate needs. On top of being amazing realtors, they are true leaders in the industry. They have done 20 plus million in real estate transactions over the last couple of years, or 60 to 70 transactions per year, which is next level. So if you're a realtor or have ever considered becoming one, these are the people you want to rock with. These are the ones you want to reach out to. They're building something truly special and doing it by helping other agents grow their businesses alongside them. I have personally done business with Kelsey and Andy. They are my realtors. We've worked together over the last 5 years, and they are true professionals who are perfecting their crafts as well as giving back to others. For my listeners who are thinking of buying or selling, Kelsey and Andy are offering to give you $1,000 off your listing fee or $500 paid towards your closing costs, which is amazing. On top of that, if you're a realtor, Kelsey is offering a free discovery call to help you grow your business to a new level. Call Kelsey today at 330-690-0255 or follow them on Facebook under Life with Woz, LIFEWITHWOZ, Life with Woz, for more information and to take advantage of these great offers. All right, so let's first deal with multiple streams of income, because I think this is probably the more non-talked about topic, because multiple streams of income. Many of us have come to learn that multiple streams of income means that you as a person have multiple ways of creating money for yourself, or making money, or generating income. This term is very generic, right? Because multiple streams of income can be something that an entrepreneur uses as a term, and it could mean that they have multiple businesses. Multiple streams of income could be a person that may have a job, but they also have a second job, or they may drive Uber on the weekends, or they may do DoorDash in the evenings or weekends and things like that, right? So, but in its simplistic form, right, multiple streams of income is just the ability for someone or something to create many forms or ways to make money. And I'm not antagonizing the idea of multiple streams of income, because I believe multiple streams of income is a necessary thing. But I am attacking what many people have deemed multiple streams of income to actually be. And I'm going to first describe what most people think of when they think of multiple streams of income, or at least in my experience as a business coach and helping and support entrepreneurs, what they mean when they tell me that they have multiple streams of income. Typically, this term is identified with having multiple businesses that may do different things that generate them income. So for an example, this could be someone who they may have a house remodeling business. They may remodel houses. They may be a contractor, but they also have a mobile car detailing business, and they also may be your local DJ on the weekends, and may DJ parties, and DJ weddings, and all that kind of stuff. And the list goes on and on, right? This person typically has 4 to 5 plus different businesses. And a lot of people out there, they want to immediately jump to multiple streams of income. They want to, as quick as they can, jump to multiple different businesses that create streams of income. And what that in essence does for many businesses is, what I've learned is that the concept of diversification, and kind of bear with me here, because I'm gonna go deep and then I'm trying to come back. But the topic of diversification is typically a thing that's used when you want to minimize your risk associated with something. And this is typically used in an investment world, and in the investment world. And you'll hear financial advisors, investment advisors, et cetera, talk about how important it is to diversify your portfolio. And that is having different investments in different asset classes that have varying degrees or levels of risk associated with it. And so that way, if one asset class completely goes out or has significant decreases, that your entire portfolio doesn't tank, because you've balanced it based on your investment goals. And so most people tell you diversify, diversify, diversify. And it's also, again, this is kind of the same common thought around multiple streams of income and multitasking. These things are I think, overdone. What I've come to find is that multiple streams of income and diversification, both of those do not work for anyone that's trying to build significant wealth or build significant traction in their business or significant income. And hear me out, because this may be polar opposite than what you've ever heard all your life. But most of the people that I hear talking about multiple streams and diversifying are people that have already generated wealth off of one thing. And I believe that diversification and multiple streams is the aftermath, or what's second to come after you've generated revenue, after you've generated wealth. And so one thing that I'm always pushing entrepreneurs and people that I support or people that I coach to is to focus, like Gary Keller says, to focus on the one thing. If you haven't read Good to Great, or One Thing, I believe, if you If you haven't read One Thing, check that book out, because he breaks down in the book how important it is to focus on one thing. Because what you can do if you're not intentional about focus on that one thing is you will substitute all of your knowledge and all your resources to being a generalist. And generalists don't get paid like specialists do. If you are a general doctor or a general family practice doctor, you're not going to get paid the level that a brain surgeon would, or you're not going to get paid at the same level that a heart doctor would get paid. Or you could think of any other practices. It doesn't even have to be health. It could be in any other form of, it could be in athletics, it can be in nutrition, et cetera. Like if someone has a specialty, if someone specializes in something, that means they built a frame of knowledge around that thing. And because they now have a dedicated specialized knowledge, they become an anomaly. They become rare. They become rare. They become low. It's economic, right? Low supply is high demand, right? So because there's not a ton of brain surgeons out there, really good brain surgeons may be hard to come across. And so because they are hard to come across, the value goes up in them. So the same thing is true with you and your resources and your skills and your business, is that what you want to be able to do, instead of focusing on how to create multiple streams of income, you want to be significantly great at the one piece that you can control, right? Everyone great that we think about. And I think it's very easy to correlate these with sports. Michael Jordan, for many people, is the greatest basketball player that's ever lived. I say LeBron James, but it's neither here nor there. But regardless, they did not become great focusing all of their career on two different sports. Now, we know Michael Jordan did a stint in baseball for a little while, but he came back to basketball. And LeBron James, right? It wasn't because LeBron James played basketball and then he also played football or he also played some other sport. It was that they dedicated so much time into their one sport and becoming great at that. And then once they became great at that one thing, then they were able to start diversifying and think about what would happen after basketball. After LeBron started to win significantly, he started to make investments. He continued to do stuff in real estate. He continued to do stuff with his production company and in films and with buying franchises and doing significant deals with Nike and tons of different things, right? He began to get in acting, right? Like he began to diversify himself in multiple things. But it wasn't until he first accomplished and got successful at the one thing. And I think so many of us, we try to diversify ourselves way too soon. We try to diversify our efforts way too soon. We try to diversify our money and our investments way too soon. And I want to implore you that if you're just getting started out and you're trying to build a significant piece of anything, if you're trying to build a significant business, if you're trying to have significant money, the thing that you have to do, I challenge you to do this, is that you have to double down on one thing, and that you have to become an expert at that one thing, and you have to become the influencer in that space, and you have to be the force to be reckoned with in your space. And I believe if you can dedicate yourself to one thing, if you could focus all of your attention on one thing for any given period of time of length, that you will then see significant success. But I see way too often people pull up too early and they get dissatisfied because they haven't seen the success that they wanted, or they haven't accomplished the kind of success that they wanted. And then they switch to something else. And then they go down that path and they think it's supposed to pop off immediately and it's supposed to have success immediately. And then they don't see that happen, and they change and they do another thing. And then they end up just doing so many different things and never being good at one. And the reason is because they never gave themselves enough time and dedicated all of who they were to one thing. And so 2022, I want to push you to not focus on 5 things, not have 10 goals, but what is the one thing that really moves the needle for you? What is the one thing that could significantly impact your life? What is the one thing that if you started to do, or if you started to get really good at, that it would change your future, that it could change your family tree, that it could change the way that you look at life, or the way you experience life, or the way that you experience others? What is that thing? And could you be the person that I'm talking about, that you haven't actually dedicated all of who you are to any one thing ever in your life? Because the minute that you don't see the results that you want, you pull back. But I want to debunk that. I want to challenge you to stay connected. I want to challenge you, like we talked about in the last podcast. Can you embrace or be okay with being terrible for a while? Because I believe that on the other side of terrible, on the other side of not being good at something, that it begins to get easy. Everything first starts off hard before it gets easy. And don't let your hard moment change your direction and have you thinking that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. If it's something that fires you up, if it's something that is aligned to you as a person and it's connected to your purpose, stay the course, stay the path, and commit yourself to that one thing. And so multiple streams of income, in summary, is not a bad thing. Multiple streams of income, I believe, is a necessary thing. But I don't believe multiple streams of income is necessary before you've built first a river. You should be first building a river before you start to create all these streams. And if you do not have a river yet, I want you to focus on your river. I want you to focus on building something so significant, because streams trickle and rivers flow. And if you can find a river, there's so many different things that can flow off of your river of income. There's so many different opportunities that can come off of your river of experience, right? People are going to acknowledge you for your river and not for your streams. People are going to call you the greatest for your river and not for your streams. We call LeBron James the greatest not because he's a great actor. That's a stream for him. That's a stream of income. But his river is basketball. His river is athletics. His river is sports. So don't get confused. Don't confuse the difference between the rivers and the streams in your life. And so I want to circle this back to what I talked about earlier in the podcast, and that was around multitasking, because I believe these are all connected. Multitasking, diversification, and multiple streams of income. Multitasking, right, is what we call being able to do multiple things at once. And most people, and there's people that are way smarter than me that have done research on this, but most people, we don't have the ability to actually multitask. We have the ability to task switch. And there's a significant difference, right? Because multitasking, if you know what multitasking really is, it's what you can often do on a computer. And multitasking on a computer is like you're able to open up, let's call it two windows, and you're able, if you want to, play YouTube in one window and YouTube in the other window. And they'll both play at the same time. It'll probably sound crazy, but that's true multitasking. That's able to do two different things at the same level without anything dropping, anything having degradation, anything suffering, and you operate at the same efficiency and the same ability. Most of us do task switching, and that is jumping from task to task. And when you jump from task to task, right, you don't actually get much done when you do that. Or you get things done, but you don't get them done at the pace in which you could if you just dedicated yourself and your time on one thing. So I've heard so many people talk about their ability to multitask, and what they're not doing is they're really task switching. And this is something that I personally dealt with quite a bit in my life, because I'm a pretty busy person, and every day has tons of to-dos. It's, I have typically a task list of 20 things I feel like every single day that needs to get done. And if I'm not careful, I can try to do multiple things at once. And when I do that, I'm never effective at it. I'm never good at it. And I typically just do all the things average instead of being able to time block, isolate myself, dedicate my time to doing one task, checking that task off the list and getting to the next task, completing that one and checking that one off the list and getting to the next one. Okay. So there was something in me that just really wanted to stir up this idea of multi, what that is, and multitasking is not good for us, and again, you can't do it well. There's nobody that can do multitasking well. So I just want to encourage you, when it comes to your productivity, What adjustments could you make in your productivity that allow you to focus more on the task at hand, that allow you to focus more on what's in front of you and not needing and dedicating time to trying to figure out how to multitask better? No, let's not do that. Let's figure out and dedicate time to block out the noise and focus on the one task at hand. Do you need to take things off of your plate? Why do you feel like you should be multitasking so much, right? Why is your schedule so busy and so overwhelming that you don't properly have the right boundaries in place to have the flexibility you need to get all your tasks done within the right parameters that you set? I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself on that one. So I'm going to start to land the plane here. In summary, what I think is very important when it comes to pivoted mindset, right, and how this connects with our mindset is, I believe if you're listening to this, that you want to be successful. And I believe that you are curious about hacking into the deepest parts of your brain and trying to figure out how to take your life to the next level, how to get rid of the flack, how to not procrastinate, how to be more efficient and effective with your time, how to make more money, how to grow your business to the next level, right? There's so many things that I know that you want out of your life. But I think the first step is starting with intentionality. And intentionality is hard when you haven't dedicated yourself to one thing. So here's my challenge for you. Can you dedicate yourself to one task? Can you dedicate yourself to one source of income or one business model, etc.? And can you dedicate your wherewithal to like one stream of income, right? Like, can you dedicate, time and efficiency there? And can you take diversification off of the table for a little while? Your investment advisor is probably going to tell you this dude is crazy that you're listening to. But again, this is to deploy someone who is struggling with multi and needs to narrow down and focus on the thing that they can do now to drive great success for their life. All right. And so I'm going to leave you with that. Like every time we say, this is the Pivot Mindset Podcast. Thank you for checking out this episode. Remember, life is all about the pivots, and those who decide to make the pivots decide to become successful. Continue to subscribe, continue to leave this rating and review. And we appreciate all support, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.